Good afternoon, Richard Rogers here live in the newsroom. I wanted to pop in here and give you some breaking news from the Augusta Mall that we're covering this afternoon. Richmond County deputies responding to a call of shots fired there at the mall. That initial call coming out right at 3:38 this afternoon. So the dust is beginning to settle out there as we check in with Will Rio to try to get to the bottom of exactly what is going on at Augusta Mall this afternoon. Will, what have you learned so far?
Yeah, Richard, right now, details are very limited as to what exactly happened this afternoon here at the Augusta Mall. But what we do know right now is that there were a flood of cars that were leaving right when we showed up to the mall. This was about, I would say, 40 to 45 minutes ago at this point where we originally got that call of potentially shots fired here at the Augusta Mall, and then a lot of people running out of the mall this afternoon. But I want to give you a look here behind me. Scene is clearing up as the afternoon goes on. Earlier this afternoon, when we were live on digital, about, I would say, 20 minutes ago, there were about 4 deputies who were sitting out front of the Augusta Mall here. This is the top shelf of the mall here with Palmetto Moon, Lululemon, Barnes & Noble. Right now, there's 1 deputy sitting here out front as they continue their investigation as to what exactly happened. We've talked to a few people when we arrived on scene to the Augusta Mall today to find out what exactly happened. A lot of people were leaving because security told them to get out. Deputies showed up, told them to get out. We can only presume that's because of their investigation that was going on. Still, we are not sure if shots were actually fired or if this was some sort of firework or some sort of bang that went off or a confrontation. We're still waiting for confirmation from Richmond County to understand what happened this afternoon. But what we do know is that a lot of people were leaving. I talked to someone who was at the mall today, who we initially got the call from that all of this was happening. They said they heard what sounded like a pop, 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 and then a lot of people running. So again, we don't know if that was shots fired. We don't know if anyone was injured. Again, from that same person, we heard that someone was loaded into the back of a central EMS ambulance and then taken away from around the Dick's area, Dick's Sporting Goods area at the Augusta Mall. But right now, details very limited as to what exactly happened. We're still waiting on confirmation and more information from the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, but several deputies still on scene conducting their investigation.
And Will, I'll jump in to say something that you may have also heard. Family members are starting to hear from family members inside the mall at the time, and they say some folks in stores were actually ushered to the back of the store just to get out of the way of whatever was happening in the mall, just to make sure everyone was safe, just before people came flooding out of the mall in those numbers you were talking about. But whatever it was, got the attention of some of these stores in the Augusta Mall, so they felt the need to gather people to safety, like in the back of the store. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. We heard from several people who were leaving that, and even on social media, people were saying that they were, that the front gates to some of these stores inside the mall were being closed, and then they were hiding in the back of these stores. Again, we heard shots were fired, still unconfirmed at this point. Deputies seem to be leaving the scene. One just left right here behind us 30 seconds ago. So the scene seems to be cleared. I know that there were reports of an active shooter here on scene, but it seems like from the response from deputies to the mall that it wasn't an ongoing situation. It seemed like it was contained fairly quickly because security showed up, and then it was only a couple of patrol cars here when we showed up on scene. So if it was still an active shooter situation, it seems like the response would have been much heavier from deputies.
Yeah, that is the good news this afternoon. And Will, if you wouldn't mind just stepping aside for a second more, we'll get the photographer to push in just to give people one more look at what's happening. Again, this is around the upper side of the mall, the back entrance near Barnes & Noble, although we don't have a specific location for whatever the noise was that police were called to investigate. Deputies were called to the mall earlier, as I said, right around 3:38 this afternoon, and you can see there's one deputy on scene there. And the initial call was for shots fired at the Augusta Mall, but here on the 4th of July, we all know that could also mean fireworks, except for the fact that we understand one person, as Will mentioned, was loaded into an ambulance and taken away for treatment. We're going to give you the best look we can there at that back entrance there. And as Will said, the good news here is this is not an increasing police presence, an increasing law enforcement presence. Whatever happened earlier, and it looks like the situation is resolved for now with no sense of any urgency there. But we did want to pop on this afternoon here at the top of the hour because, you know, the way social media is, you might have seen something on Facebook, you might have seen something on your other social media feeds, but we wanted to come in with the best information we could to give you just an idea of what's happening at Augusta Mall. We'll watch that one deputy cruiser leave the scene there. 3 Richmond County vehicles at one point were out there. 1 victim transported that we could tell, but we're not sure what happened there. Going back in time, back to October 2022, there was a fatal shooting at the mall. In June of 2022, there was a gun in the food court there. And then more recently, April the 28th, gunfire reported at the mall that afternoon around 1:43. That was quickly shut down as well. So it's not a new situation here. It's an unfortunate situation. But the good news this afternoon, as Will mentioned, is this seems to be not escalating, but maybe de-escalating as we give you a live look there at the Augusta Mall. We're going to continue our coverage this afternoon over on our social media pages. We're going to go to WRDW.com and we'll continue our conversation with Will Rio and our crew there at the mall. But that